Hi, my name is Mariah Kidd. Today I'm going to be talking about different types of mutations. So I'm going to start with my coding strand here at the top, which is simply a DNA sequence that moves in the 5' to 3' direction. I'm going to transcribe it into something RNA can read. This is simply done by replacing my thymines with uracil. And then I'm going to use my codon dictionary, which you should have right next to you in order to fully understand this video. And I'm going to go ahead and translate for everything that I see here, and for the different amino acids that the codons code for. So AUG is going to be our start codon, and it essentially just tells us where to go. And then I'm going to see that I have a stop codon, so I'm going to stop here and I'm not going to read the rest. So let's go ahead and get into our mutation examples. So if I'm going on and I'm moving along, you can see that what was once a uracil is now an A. So, however, they're still the same amino acid. Well, this is going to be called a silent mutation because we're still getting the same thing. And the protein's still going to be performing the same way it did before because nothing really changed. This is called a transcription because it moves from a purine to a pyrimidine. So for mutation number 2, we see it a little bit early on. So instead of having UGG, I now have UGA. And this codes for a stop codon. I'm essentially no longer reading what's here. So how does this impact my protein? Well, simply, I could not have a protein at all. I could have a completely different protein or a protein that can't really perform its function anymore. So these mutations can heavily impact what's happening. And this particular one is a transition because it simply moves from a purine to a purine. So for example number 3, once again, I'm moving along and I see instead of having a C, I now have a G. This changes what amino acid I get. And I like to think of this one kind of like an Uno card, where we're just kind of moving things around. We're having a new amino acid now. This particular one is also going to be a transcription. So for number 4, our final example, we see that what was once a stop codon is now an amino acid. So how does this impact our protein? Well, simply, we're going to keep reading, which can once again completely change how we get our final product for the protein and what our protein is able to accomplish with its job. This one is also a transition, and I like to think about this particular mutation as a very angry green light. So in order, let's review the type of mutations that we had today. We had a silent mutation, a nonsense mutation, a missense mutation, and a read-through mutation. If you have any other questions, check out the resources below.
Move so quick.